Doc Beach here from Applied Ballistics, and I'm going to briefly go over how to use the new Bushnell Ballistics app powered by Applied Ballistics. This will be a short overview on how to navigate, set up profiles, and adjust the settings in the app. When you first start the app, you're going to be here on the Solutions screen. Down at the bottom, we're going to have our navigation bar. We're going to have our Profile button, which allows us to switch between different profiles. We're going to have our main display for the current screen that we're on, and we're going to have our settings button in the top right corner. We're going to have a help button. At any time if you get lost or need help, just tap that button and it'll give you some information on the screen that you're currently viewing. So when you first start the app, what you want to do is you want to adjust your settings. We do that by tapping the settings button in the top right corner and then tapping inside any one of these orange boxes to adjust the settings the way that we want to use for the units. The other thing that we can adjust is our range card settings, our minimum distance, our maximum distance, and our range card increments. Down here at the bottom of the settings menu, we have application information, which tells us what bullet library version we're on. This app does feature AB Connect, which means it has the live bullet library and will update automatically for you. So once we've set our settings up the way that we want them, we're going to need to set up a profile. To do that, we go to the navigation bar at the bottom and we tap on Gun and Bullet. This will bring up our profile display. We do have multiple profiles, so let's go to User Gun 3. The next thing that you're going to do to set up a profile is you're going to tap on the scope icon, select, you can scroll up and down, then select the scope that you have, and you can scroll up and down again and select the reticle that you have. That sets up our scope. The second thing we do is we set up our ammunition. To do that, we can either put it in by hand or we can use the Applied Ballistics bullet library. By tapping on the bullet icon here, we can select from any number of bullets that are already in the library. We can also hand input the data if we know what it is. And we can switch between G1 and G7 BCs if we wanted to hand input that by simply tapping on the ballistic coefficient and then inputting the number that we would like to use. The last thing you're going to do is you're going to need to set up a muzzle velocity and then a zero range. So we're done setting up this profile. And if we wanted to change the name of a profile, what we could do is we could tap down here in this box and then we would just input the name of the profile that we would like. So let's go ahead and go to environment now. On the environment screen, we're able to use the phone's onboard sensors, or we're able to input the information manually if we want. So by tapping here, it's going to gather the information from the closest weather station. By tapping here, it's going to use the built-in GPS to set our altitude, as you can see. By tapping here, we'll bring up the clock so that we can change our wind direction, or we can input it by hand. And then we'll have to hand input our wind speed, but we do that here. So now that we have our environmental data set up, we're going to go to our target information. This allows us to use the phone's onboard sensors to set the inclination angle to the target when shooting uphill or downhill. We can also do this by hand if we happen to have a device on the rifle that tells us what it is. We can even input our cosine value if we want to do it that way. But for now, we'll just use the onboard sensors to give us an angle. So we've set up our rifle, our environmental data, and our target data. And now we have our firing solution. So on this screen, it's going to draw out your subtensions and tell you what the range of those individual subtensions are, tell you the scope and reticle that you're using, and then give you some basic information about the ammunition and environmental data. We also have a multi-target screen where we can input targets at very specific ranges to build a custom range card, essentially. And then we have the standard range card. And this range card's set up in the settings by minimum, maximum, and the distance increment that we've chosen here. This range card can be emailed to yourself or anyone else that you'd like to email it to by tapping the email range card button here and then inputting the email address you'd like to use. And then right here we can switch between the reticle, the target, and the range card views. We can also change profiles by tapping the profile button here and switching to a different profile. So that's a basic overview on how to use the new Bushnell Ballistics app powered by Applied Ballistics. And if you have any questions, please feel free to contact us.